Today we'll take a look at holster selection, and I'll show you what I've been using for quite a while and some changes that I've made. This first holster we're going to look at is for the 1911 pistol. This is the Springfield Armory Range Officer target model. It is unloaded, been checked thoroughly, and the holster that you're seeing there is the 1791 all leather holster, and it's a very good fit. Some of my viewers had mentioned to me that you got to be careful with this because it doesn't have retention. So that is a true statement, and I've been thinking about that some here lately. I carry this gun openly. In Arkansas, we have the law of open carry. You don't have to have a concealed carry license, so that makes it really nice. Just a simple holster, a nice gun, strap it on your hip, and you're ready to go to town. So a lot of times I'll use a shirt tail or a vest tail to hang over it. But the one problem that everybody kept mentioning with this is the only retention that you have in this holster is the friction. And that's true. This holster fits very good. 1791 built a super tough holster here. I use this everywhere. I've used it on the farm. I've had it with using a four-wheeler, taking care of cattle, sheep, goats, chickens, dogs. We got a German Shepherd farm, and I knock around quite a bit with this holster, and it holds up good. But it does depend highly on gravity. Depends on you having that holster facing down on your hip like that, and if you were to fall over for some reason, there is a chance that could come out. So for personal carry, for a defensive situation, it would be better to have a holster that you've got actual retention. And I didn't want retention level 3. I see people have got 3 different latches, and I know that they can be fast, but I wanted to keep it as simple as possible and go with retention level 1. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Another holster that I use, this is for what I'd call a barbecue gun. This when you go over to your friend's house, relative's house, where you know you're in a good, safe place. You're out in the backyard. It's fenced in, and maybe you just kind of would like to show your gun off. This is built by Galco, and this is a good holster as far as retention goes. It again is a passive type retention based on friction alone, and you can clearly see that. I mean, this is really a handy holster for the farm, just to be able to grab the gun quick. But it's designed to sit down in there, and then they tighten these screws, and it kind of grabs on your trigger guard. You push down hard, and it's a nice wedge fit. It fits in good. But again, that's more like a barbecue gun. I would not want to carry this to town unless I had a coat tail over it or a vest tail that covers that, because this design just in general public is going to make the public pretty nervous. It's just you've got so much gun on display, and for people that love guns, we love that look. But that's just that's a little bit much for public. It's going to make some people nervous. The 1911 already makes folks nervous with it cocked like that. But John Moses Browning was very wise. He knew that the only way that safety would work is for it to be cocked, and that kind of gives the person that's operating it clear view of what they're doing. When you cock the gun, that's when you want to put the safety on. But this is on display big time with a holster like that. So again, good barbecue holster, not very good for retention. This one will turn loose, probably the easiest of these two. This one is a much tighter wedge fit. It is so tight that when you buy one of these 1791s from the factory, they'll tell you to take some sandwich bags and put over your gun and force it into this holster. Then at nighttime you can let it sit, and it'll expand that holster out, and it'll make it match up to your gun good. So these have been steamed over a frame that was very similar to your gun, and they just make it as tight as possible, and it's a little bit too tight to carry at first. So the sandwich bag and a little bit of overnight soak helps with that. I have found with this one, it is not a quick draw holster either. That's another disadvantage. This is a good looking holster. It's very good for the farm, and I have used it. My wife got tickled at me one day. We were out working on her fence, and the pigs had been getting through, and we were working in an area. There was a little sapling that was coming up through the fence row, and it was right down at ground level. The fence kind of tangled in with it, and I had my gun on me, and I just pulled my 45 out without even thinking, and shot a couple of shots on that sapling, pulled it out of the way. To me, it's a tool, but it was good for that, but I didn't have to make a quick draw. This is not a quick draw holster. So then I thought, well, what's the next level? How do I get to a retention holster that is at least a level 1 active latching type mechanical retention for the gun? And I looked at a lot of different holsters out there, and what came to mind is, who carries a gun? I mean, who really carries a gun for a living and has to be in and out of vehicles and has to maybe do some jiu-jitsu stuff and do some ground grappling with a bad guy and wrestle with somebody on the ground and still keep that gun under control where the bad guy can't get the gun away and shoot you right in the wrestling match? Who does that? Who has that? And that became a very easy answer. That ended up being this company right here, Safariland. Safariland. And I've got the holster right here. Now, when you buy one of these from Safariland, you got to realize that they sell these all over the world. This is an international holster that's used by police, by special forces, by SWAT teams all over the world. When you first get one of these in, it will come in and it will have this paddle on the back of it like that. And that's probably one of the more popular ways to carry this, is with that paddle, and that would tuck down inside your pants. But I don't particularly care for that. I want something that's a little bit more, if I'm really trying to secure the holster, I want to make absolutely sure that it cannot get away. So what I did was I went with these belt loops, and these bolt on. This comes with some really nice hardware. They give you a whole sack of bolts for it. They are a cap head screw. There's a little barb that I took off. It comes with an Allen wrench. They give you all the hardware that you need. And you'll notice this one, you have to get it for your gun. My gun is a Springfield Range Officer, and they did not have that on the description in the drop-down menu, but they had a Springfield Operator, and it was the closest thing I could find in the frame to what I had. So Springfield's done away with the Range Officer. Still a 1911 full-size frame, 5-inch gun, so I figured it would fit, and it is a perfect fit. So let's take a look at this. Get this package out of the way. Not interested in the package, interested in the holster. So here's the holster. Now, the first thing that you'll notice on these holsters, when you look down inside it, and this is something I was concerned about because I carry a very shiny, highly polished 1911. That 1911 is stainless steel, and I polish it all the time. I take some 1200 grit and I keep that polished, and I don't want a bunch of scratches. I want that thing to keep a mirror finish on it, and it's got it. It might have some micro scratches, but again, I can buff that real quick with some 1200 grit and some never dull polish and have it looking good. The problem with the leather holster was, this leather holster, although it's a good tight fit, it can get some sand and some dirt down there and get embedded into that leather, and it's such a tight fit that when you jam that pistol in there, it's going to scratch it. I mean, it scratches it pretty good too, pretty deep. Depends on the grain of sand, how much sand you got in there. But with this nice Safariland, this is a Safariland A.L.S. With the Safariland automatic locking system, they put a very thin coat of suede in there, and then there's enough room inside the gun. It's not near as tight on the gun, but yet it still fits good. Okay, so watch this. Put the gun in there. I want you to listen carefully. I'll try to be quiet. You hear that little click? Now that little click, now the gun won't come out. So if the bad guy walks up beside you and grabs your gun, he cannot get that gun out of that holster unless he knows what to do. and he's probably not going to know. I hate to even show this on YouTube because they might study it and realize what to do. But right inside, this is the operator, with your left hand thumb, there is a lever. The lever is right here. I'll put it where you can see it good. The lever is right here. And I want you to be able to see that and get right up here on the camera. There's your lever. I didn't know how that worked, but see the lever? That lever moves up and down. Right there you can see it clearly. So there's your lever, and that is your release. So how does that possibly work? Well, your thumb is right there. You're going to make your draw, and as you reach in to get the gun, it's very intuitive, and out comes the gun. And then you got your thumb right there on the safety, and you take your safety off and you're ready to shoot the gun. So it's a very good setup. You just push the button down right there as you're drawing out, come out, then your safety goes off and you're ready to shoot. So I like the setup a lot. You can also, watch this, if you hold this vertically, you can drop the gun down in there, drop it, and as it goes down in, it will latch. Now that's locked in there, it's latched. Let's try again. I'll let you see it right there real close, up close and personal. We try to pull the gun out of the holster and the gun will not come out. Get my hand around here where I'll knock the camera around. And so I'll use my index finger this time just for fun. Index finger, and see, do it again. Nothing, push down a little bit and out it comes. So I watched a young man that had one of these, and he had one of those high-speed timers, and he was trying to prove how fast he could go with it. And he started off at about 0.8 of a second. And I thought, well, that's pretty stinking fast, man. You ought to be able to get into a battle. Somebody starts to do something dumb, and you realize you got to draw your gun. If you can stay under a second, that's pretty good. I wouldn't want to try to do that with my leather. It's just too tight. But this is a lot slippier, and he kept trying it. He did a 0.7, and next thing you know, he got it down to 0.6 of a second. To me, that's pretty fast, and you could probably practice and get that all the way down to a half if you were that good. And he was doing that from the draw with his hands at his side, doing a draw and having it up to the target in 0.6 of a second. So that told me all that I needed to know about that. Then, when I got the holster in, I began to look at the construction of this holster. How's it built? Well, it's not Kydex. It's some kind of a special plastic that's in layers, and I think that they put fiberglass in that. I'm not exactly sure how, what type of material. You can look that up on their website. It'd be something fun for you to look up. Notice on this, they were very wise that they put the high, tall rib for people that have tactical tall front sights on a 1911. That's good. I did not have that on this this holster right here, and I put one of my guns in there. It was a Ronin. The Ronin had a fairly tall front target sight, and it was trying to chew into that leather. It was not a good fit. So that same Ronin, I could put it in here. Now, it did not latch. You have to be very careful on that. They will not all latch. This is a different style gun. It's a little bit different. The Ronin was a commander size. But if you'll look at the sight on this, see, it's got a little bit of a tall front sight. Let's turn this sideways, and you can see that it's got a little bit of a height to that front sight. So it's very wise that they built that where, as you're sliding that down in there, it doesn't hang up on that, doesn't touch that sight at all. So that's a good feature. Another one is, if you'll look at this carefully, this is really cut close to my rear sight. It's just right there, perfect. Man, I mean, it is really close, but it doesn't hit the rear sight, and that made me feel good to be able to carry a gun like this. It's actually a target gun. Springfield Range Officer Target. It says right on the side of the gun, RO Target. And so they cut that close enough that I can now carry this gun, and got that sight like that where my sight's protected. It doesn't dig into my clothes or my love handle. So that's kind of nice. It is really built well, and you can see here clearly. Watch this, another feature. Look where your safety is. See your thumb safety? They keep that thumb safety well covered. So as you get inside there, that thumb safety is covered, and there is your mag release. You got to look at these details when you're a holster builder, and you get that shoved in there, and that mag release is way up underneath there. You can see it right there. It's there, right there, and it's underneath there, and they've done a little cutout for it. You can see the little cutout, and there's your mag release. So it's protected. It can't touch it. Even if you kind of push into it, it won't let the mag come out. It's a hard built up little 90-degree edge there. And again, the safety is well covered. You can see the safety here. If you look inside that hole, you can see the safety, but you really can't get to it. I don't know if I could turn it on and off. No, there's no room for it to move. So that keeps your thumb safety in place. On a 1911, that's important. You need your grip safety to be not touched, and you need that thumb safety to be left alone. That way, when you draw that gun out, the only thing you're thinking about is getting that gun out of the holster, getting it in the clear, and then once you clear the holster, as soon as you clear that holster, then that thumb safety comes off, and you're ready to go to work. And that's a good setup. I like that. So thumb safety on, holster it. Very good holster. Now, the hardware on these is fantastic. It was very easy to set up. In the back of the holster, you've got this screw pattern. Now, if you look at this real careful, you can see what they've done. They made it where you can make this an angle. You can angle it as a cant to be forward or reverse, and you can get pretty radical. So this becomes your pivot point one right here. You would leave it fairly loose, and then you could pivot this around and install a screw. You've either got that one, or that one, which makes this one over here fall into one of these other two. And like I say, you can can it back and forth and really make a difference in the way that rides. Now, I like a holster that is 0-degree angle, so you can see how I've got mine. And it literally puts this, when I put it on my belt, it puts my holster straight up and down. And I find I do the best draw like that. Some people like the FBI forward cant, but I have found it's just smoother and quicker for me to draw straight up and down. So I like that. This thing is really built tough. Now, you notice there's a screw right here on the top. This screw you don't take out or modify in any way. That is part of your mechanism for the latch. So if you look at the way this is built on the inside, right here is your latch. That's your lever that you push on to let the gun release. Retention level number 1, only one latch. And that's going down inside there. And the mechanism goes across, and what they're doing is they've got a square block inside there, and it is locking. Somebody said on your sights that is not correct. That holster has a mechanism that locks right in your ejection port. It literally goes down inside there and fits that exact. It fits on that front face. It fits on this corner right here. And when that little square piece goes down in there and it's spring loaded, it fits that, and you cannot get that gun out of that holster. I've seen some guys do some jiu-jitsu with these, which is a brutal martial art, down on the ground and up close and personal, and it's not that you can't break the holster, okay? It is not an iron engine block. You can break them too, but they had a hard time doing anything with it, trying to get the gun away from the one that was the police officer, or the one that was the citizen that was trying to maintain his weapon. So that was good enough for me. I'm not planning on getting out in the streets and getting in a brawl, but I did want something that I knew that the gun would be there. If I'm on the farm on a four-wheeler, I like this. This is, I'm going to call it K-Dex. It's some kind of a special plastic. You can, like I said, get with Safariland. They've got a FAQ section. You can get into that and nerd out on what type of plastic. All I can tell you about it is it's very, very durable. I haven't got my Armor All yet for it. I'm probably going to wipe that down with some Armor All just to keep it pretty. Is it as pretty as leather? No, it's not. It's not pretty like the cow. It's not. Many people say, boy, I like that leather holster. That thing just looks nice. That's a nice looking holster. It is, but you don't have any retention. And this can get scratched pretty easy on the farm. If you run into a sharp piece of sheet metal or maybe a piece of barbed wire or something, you could make a pretty ugly scratch on that leather. And it's not a big deal. Some people would throw a fit and go crazy over it, and other people say, well, that's just a character mark, and that's fine. But this is pretty durable. Now, this would scratch with barbed wire. I'm sure it could scratch, but it's pretty tough stuff. It's quite the clamshell, and the hardware on it, like I say, it's really good, solid, heavy steel hardware. And they do send the Allen wrench that fits that. It's right in the kit. And I like it, man. I really do. Now, this here, it's got a little bit of, now some people might say, oh, that's got a rattle to it. That's okay. That lets you know where you're at. I like to be able to, when you put a gun in there, if it didn't make any sound at all, I wouldn't know if I'm locked. See that? You don't know if you're locked. As soon as you get locked, now you know you're locked. So it needs a little bit of tolerance to be able to make sure the gun goes in there and latches properly. So they've got it figured out, man. We don't have to worry about that. It works, okay? So now here's the question. Some people may say, well, if you've got a 1911, they're all the same, and they are to a degree, the overall platform. But watch this. This was kind of surprised me. I thought, well, it'll work on the farm for my GI also. It will to carry it, but it doesn't latch. See that? Now sometimes it latches a little bit, but if you twist on the gun a little bit, it'll come out. So that shows you to make sure you get the model number for what you're doing. This is probably called the 1911 A1. I did see it, and they've got different ones. You might want to give them a phone call. This is a TSOS brand, and call the company and make absolutely sure before you spend your $60 or $70 if you're wanting a retention holster, make sure it fits your gun. I felt slightly lucky on this because, like I said, they did not have one called a Springfield Range Officer on their website, but came out good. It fit. It has excellent retention, and so I thought, well, I've stepped my holster up. Time to step up something else. What else could I get that's I've never had before? I thought I'm going to spend some time studying about magazines and find out there who's got a magazine that is really supposed to be dependable. So just like I did with the holster, I went to the police force. I went to SWAT teams. I looked at LAPD. I looked at SWAT, FBI. I looked at some special forces dudes and trying to find out which holster that they use. That's how I came up with a Safariland. So I thought, well, in the 1911 realm, why don't I go and look at competition shooters that are shooting this gun for a living, for speed, and they're really trying to put a whole bunch of rounds down range, and they don't have any time for excuses. You get highly penalized for trying to do a mag exchange or having the gun hang up on you, something didn't work quite right, and you have a malfunction on the gun, you're going to get penalized. So I thought, what kind of a magazine out there is so highly rated in dependability that the competition shooters shoot it? Well, here it is right here. That's the one. Now, I know Wilson Combat makes good mag. I've got a Wilson Combat 47D. They've kind of been the gold standard in my book for years. But now I got one of these, and I watched a guy on the internet take one of these, and he put an empty round in it, just a piece of brass, and had it load into his gun. I thought, that's not going to work on my gun. I put an empty shell in there, and that's about as open nose as you could possibly get in the wrong length, and it chambered right up in my Springfield Range Officer. Blew my mind. So this is COBRA MAG. Their package says right on it. That's a pretty good advertisement. That shows you how serious they got about it. Look at that. COBRA MAG. What does it say there? The best magazine. See that? COBRA MAG. Best magazine company. This one is called a single stack. It is, they give you the part number, how how to get one on the back, you can do a drop down menu. They show you everything in there real easy. But here's what I liked about it. Number one about it is the front, the follower right in the front of it. Get this out of the picture. That follower has got a metal insert, and the metal insert goes in such a way that when you try to tilt this forward, a lot of these it'll let them kick up in the rear. And this one is a guide, and that guide is built just in such a way that it sleeves and goes down inside that tube. Plus the tube is very high quality. They put the numbers on here. You've got the even numbers on one side. You can see that there, 2, 4, 6, and 8. Flip over to the other side, and there is your 3, 5, and 7 on the other side. So then I went ahead and went the next step. I wanted to be a little bit deluxo, and I went with the aluminum base plate. These aluminum are just a little bit stouter. It has a nice little flare in the front that looks good on the gun, and it's got a huge push button that you could just use the tip out of an ink pen or a bullet, maybe a 5.56 punch, whatever you got laying around on the bench. You could push that down and pull that apart and put a new spring in it, or just clean the magazine good. So these are very well built. I'm real happy with that. Again, COBRA MAG, and it's really a nice magazine, and I've shot it quite a bit in all my 1911s. It's got a nice COBRA MAG emblem on the front. Looks like a cobra getting ready to bite you right there on the front. Let's see if that'll show up. I don't know if it'll go that detailed or not, but right here on the front, embossed into it, maybe laser etched, it says the word Cobra. So right there, that's probably a way that you can make sure that nobody cheated on you and did the chicken of Chinese copies. They're not going to bother with that right there. So that's nice. Anyway, the tube is very well built. I don't even see, there's not a welded seam in the back like you see on a Wilson Combat. And they put their slots way to the rear, which is good, not down the middle. They also, notice this is just a small detail, but I noticed stuff like this. They didn't put all the holes on one side, so that keeps it good and strong. You got 4 holes on one side and 3 on the other. I like details. Details, to me, everything's about details. Some people say the devil's in the details. I'm just the opposite. I think the Lord's in the details, because he's the one that builds the really intricate stuff. If you don't believe that, you need to look at some fishes and some birds and see how detailed they are. So I really like that. That's a great magazine. Get you one of these. They're not cheap. I think I had to give about 45 bucks for it. But a magazine on a 1911 is very, very important. That is one of the big factors why they say a 1911 is not dependable. It's not the 1911, it's the magazine. And that's where Glock shines, because Glock builds their own magazine for their gun. They realize, Mr. Gaston Glock realized early on, if you're going to build a Glock pistol, you're going to call it ultra reliable, you better have one magazine, one brand, one size, make it come out the same every time, and that way you're in good shape. You buy a gun like this, and I'm not trying to beat up on Springfield, but they're liable to have a Checkmate in there, or it could have, they tried Wilson Combat for a while, it didn't work real good with their guns. You might have a Metgar, that's a good magazine company. But I'm going to tell you, it is wise if you're going to spend $800 to $1,000 for a good, solid stainless steel production gun. It makes a whole lot of sense to go ahead and bust out your wallet and spend the 40 bucks to get a good magazine, and then prove it. Prove it out. Shoot it with that gun, and once you get used to it, where this mag works good with that gun, don't ever let those two get separated from each other. Keep you some spares. Keep it with that gun. I've got a whole bunch of different 1911s. I've got this GI right here. It's a very nice gun. It's a T-Sauce, and it came with a Metgar magazine. Runs perfect, so I don't fool with it. That's not my carry gun, though. I wanted something ultra reliable that's going to go bang every time. and it's going to function every time, and it's going to lock back on the last shot like a magazine should. And that Cobra, it's called a COBRA MAG, but the name of the company is called Tripp Research. Tripp Research. I'll put the information here so you can see it real good. Tripp Research. You can see that right there. So if you needed to contact them, get in touch with them, or look them up on the internet, that is the name of your company, Tripp Research, and they make the magazine. They are out of Texas, Alpine, Texas. So give them a call. They got the phone number right there handy. You could call them and or go on their website, and they've got the magazine to fit your gun. And I'm telling you, like I said before, there's a lot of competition shooters out there, and they shoot Chip McCormick. I know that. They shoot Wilson Combat. Know that. Chip McCormick's got a real good Power 8 mag, and you go to 10.8 Performance, and that's what the guy, Mr. Yam on there, that's what he shoots, is the Chip McCormick Power 8. And some people swear by those, and they're good mags. I don't fault that. If you like that, you want to use that in your gun, buy one of them and use it, but keep it with it. I have chosen this one because I've read a lot of good articles on it, and I have now shot it in my gun a bunch. It fits the gun perfect. It is really a nice smooth fit. It goes in good. It has a nice look to it. It doesn't have any plasticky look. I like that aluminum. I like the little cutout that the front of the 1911s have, and then they put a little flare. It's just a little detail that they did, but again, the details are kind of nice, and it just looks real professional like that, with that little foot in the front there. Fills in that little gap, so now you don't have to worry about what that little gap is for. I'll show you that. We'll pull a GI mag out of this old GI style gun. It's got a little tab there, but it doesn't, see, it's got a little tab, and now I guess that's what it's built for. It's built for that little tab so that you can have something to get a hold of when you push the button in case it's froze, too much grease, too much dirt, got ice in there or something, got something to get a hold of. But this one's even bigger, okay? And it fills it in a little bit better. It's got a nice, very nice look to it. And it's spring loaded, so you'll have a little bit of a gap. That's normal, but that's what that's all about. So hope you enjoy this today, and try you out one of these nice COBRA mags. Get one and see what you think about it. I use the 8 and I stick it in the gun, and the first thing I do is I go ahead and cycle one right into the chamber, and that leaves me a little bit more room down here for my spring. And that gives you a little bit better reliability. In my book, it gives you a little bit better reliability on a 1911 to have some room for that spring. I don't like to shove that into the gun with a slide to the rear and 8 in there, because you're compressing that top round and your whole spring assembly. I like to have the slide locked to the rear, then put in your full 8, then let the slide go. It strips the first one off, leaves 7 in the mag, and your gun and you will be much happier that way. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you check out the new holster too. Get you one of these, built by Safariland. This is what they call an open carry concealment holster, model number 6378. It's an A.L.S, which means automatic locking system. A.L.S, automatic locking, and it does lock good, and it'll retain the gun good for you, keep your gun protected. I didn't mention this, but it does have a cutout on the end, so you can let the gummy bears and dirt, dust, water, oil can drain out the end and won't drown your gun. So that's a good design. I even like the way they did this curl over it, which gives you more stiffness on the front of that gun too. Very, very stiff design. So again, thanks for watching, and please click that like and subscribe on the way up. And over and out for now.